pie with almond milk. He arrived at the flagship studio of the Ajoy Yoga Empire. Casey opened the studio every morning. This was his job, except during the full moon. The upward moving force of prana was at its highest on moon days, Ajoy told his students. People felt energetic then, but not well grounded, and practicing just filled the head with thoughts of self-importance and invincibility. Of course, that almost directly contradicted Ajoy's traditional instruction. Usually, he puffed up his students and made them feel like superhumans, avatars of Shiva, the destroyer on Earth. It was a veritable wind farm of ego energy in there most days. Casey didn't catch the disconnect or the manipulation. Critical thinking had never been his major. Ajoy made a lot of money off guys like him. In lieu of pay, Casey got a free morning class, plus discounts on Level 1 teacher training in Encinitas, which he was on the waiting list for, and further along, advanced teacher training in Costa Rica, which happened only twice a year and took only 40 of the most committed Ajoy yoga students. It was Casey's fondest dream to unearth the great yoga secrets hidden within the Ajoy pyramid. For now, he had to organize the pamphlets, chill the for sale water, desmudge the mirrors. The card swipe on the studio iPad needed to work. That was a new duty, somewhat hard to complete because Casey didn't have a credit card, and the cash register needed tape. He swept up dust clumps whenever they appeared. Most importantly, Casey was in charge of making sure that the folded towels, which by day absorbed Spartan quantities of sweat, didn't smell like warm llama turds. He cut into rags any that did. He got out his keys, but the studio door pushed open to his touch. That was strange, though not unprecedented. The night people sometimes forgot to lock up, which sent no one into a panic. There wasn't much to steal other than a few rubber plants, several hundred copies of Ajoy's ghost-written 2-volume autobiography, and a box of coconut water containers. So Casey moved on in, removing his flip-flops, eyes darting a little to make sure everything was kosher inside. It wasn't. The fluorescent lighting flickered weirdly overhead, as though the bulbs had deliberately been replaced with defectives, giving the lobby the feeling of an abandoned mental hospital. A recording played in a loop on the sound system. The music sounded dark and low. A voice, male and deep, chanted, Om, Om, Om. This was the divine sound of universal awareness, the first known utterance from the dawn of time. The ultimate mantra to save those who've been harshly buffeted by life's cruel vicissitudes. But now it sounded as ominous as a visit from the devil himself. Casey gulped a little. He noticed a large black arrow in masking tape on the floor, pointing toward the big studio. The lights were flickering madly now, almost as if they sensed his presence. The voice that filled the space seemed to grow deeper and louder still. Om, Om, Om. Casey walked carefully and with excellent posture toward the big room. He passed through the beaded curtains. The space was big enough to hold 100 mats, 105 if they squeezed in real tight and ignored the fire marshal's warnings. Someone with a taste for melodrama had placed red cells over the track lighting bulbs, giving the whole scene the feeling of a charnel house. The chanting continued. Against the back wall, in front of the mirrors, sat Ajoy's velvet throne. Ajoy would squat there all morning, yelling profanities at the students who weren't doing the sequence right. Anyone who dared touch the chair without his permission risked banishment from the studio forever. It was Ajoy's most rigid rule. The throne was for him and him alone. Casey approached slowly, already starting to sweat from the heat in the room. It was as though he were